And I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ruth Heronshar. I'm the Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. I will be the moderator for this candidate forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan public policy organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. The League has both women and men as members, and the League does not support or oppose any candidate or party. Before we start the program, I want to highlight that from the League of Women Voters, we have a voter guide. It is voter411.org. That's VOTER 411.org. It's a nationwide effort, but covers all local offices. And it's across the whole country to get voting information and get personalized candidate comparisons for who you are seeking to evaluate for your vote. The information will be made available later in July on Vote 411. And candidates, I did not have a chance to check last minute, but if you have not completed your questionnaire for Vote 411, please do so. We will also have printed guides in the Manatee County libraries, government buildings, and some community centers available. I am pleased to present this forum for candidates to the Manatee School Board District 2. They are Susan Agruso, Harold Byrd Jr., and Cindy Spray. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute to answer questions. I will be alternating which candidate goes first in answering each question in an effort to be fair. And we ask each candidate to only offer comments or thoughts, their positions, comments for themselves, and not to provide any insight into their opponent's positions. And there will be no rebuttals during the forum. This presentation is being recorded. It will be posted late today or tomorrow on the Manatee League website, and it will be passed on to METV YouTube channel. So there will be two methods for being able to access the recording. The recording is the property of the League of Women Voters. You can reference it, but you cannot show parts of it unless you have written permission from the League. We do have Marilyn, our chair of the Education Action Team, is monitoring chat, and you please put your questions into chat. And chat is only for questions to the candidates. No comments or side conversations, please. And now we'll get started with the opening comments. Candidate Agruso, would you please lead us off?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum. The experience that I bring to the school board is somewhat unique. I spent 40 years in public education. I was a teacher for 11 years, I was a superintendent for 8, and I had many roles in between. I truly get what it takes to make a school system great. Our schools need to focus on educating every child. Every school must offer our children top-notch programs, make sure that they all have opportunities to excel, and that they have highly qualified teachers. We need to restore our confidence and trust in our school district, value our teachers and staff, and respect parents and communities' right to get information and know what's going on. I understand the roles of a school board, and they are different from a superintendent. And as a member of this board, I will support our superintendent to do her job, but I will also hold her accountable when she does not. I have worked on the audit committee now for 6.5 years. I understand our $1 billion budget, and I will make sure our community knows how our money is spent. And I will work to get all of the resources our teachers need into our classrooms. I've successfully worked across the aisle with politicians from all parties. You are not going to hear political talking points from me. My focus is on children. And I know that it's going to take our entire community working together to make this a great school system. I know we can do it. I'm ready to get started. And day one, I start working for your children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate Byrd, your opening statement, please.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation, and I would like to greet all of you, and especially those who took time out in your busy day to come see us in this forum. One of the things I look at is in running for office, which I've done several times, we have to look at some of the life experiences that we've had. One of the things that I bring to the table is that I'm from this area. I grew up in District 2. I went to all of my education in Manatee County has been through the public school system, all District 2 schools. Started out during the time of segregation, Bradenton Elementary. Moving further from there to Manatee Elementary, doing integration. From that time, I was part of, in 6th grade. First time, all 6th graders went to 2 schools in Manatee County. Some of you might not remember that, but it was Lincoln and Bradenton Middle. And from there, we went on to Southeast High School. I'm just an average guy from East Bradenton. I was fortunate enough to be educated in the Manatee County school system. Went on to college, graduated college, law school education, as well as a master in public administration. Many times we try to, when we run for office, I always look at some type of analysis. And for me, I use SWOT analysis. And I try to look at where I'm at today and what can I bring to the table? Do I have the necessary qualities necessary for this position? I take the approach of kids first. Kids first is something that is very important, and I would like to at least have the type of education to our kids that I had growing up here. I spent several terms as a city councilman here in the city of Bradenton. I was elected to serve the entire city, very diverse city. For the first time, there's a chance, District 2, only the residents of District 2 will elect the next school board representative. And I would hope that we will make a decision within this community that will address the issues of the urban core. We're very diverse in District 2. We look at some of the areas, more affluent areas, and some of the areas that I've represented while at the city of Bradenton are some of the poorest areas.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Candidate Spray, your opening comments, please.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. It's an honor to be here, men and women of the League of Women Voters. I was not raised and born in Manatee County. I come with a different perspective and a different background that I think the district needs. We can have all the educational background coming up through the system, but I bring a different lens. I grew up in a pretty impoverished area of life. Never got to go to the same school more than a couple of years. So that's one of the advantages some of you have and some I do not. But they give me a unique view on how kids are raised in different backgrounds. I came from a manufacturing background, an accounting background. I went to school while I was a parent. So my education came later in life because I discovered that what I didn't get in the elementary and high school levels when I was younger, I found out later in life I needed to get that on my own because it wasn't given to me by my parents or by the schools that I attended. So I dove into what I knew best, numbers and management skills that I've discovered in the manufacturing area, logistical maintenance, manufacturing processes. That doesn't include them working on the floor. That includes ordering parts, scheduling mechanics, doing their payrolls, all of those kind of things that comes with actual big corporation businesses, purchasing, conveyor belting from the raw material coming in to the finished product going out. It's a whole different mindset. What I do have is I understand what the needs are that coming from a poor background. And I think that's what I can bring to the school district.
Thank you, candidate Spray. Now I'm going to begin with our first question. This will be to every candidate will have a chance to respond, but I will begin with candidate Byrd. Here's the question. What do you see as the greatest challenge for Manatee's public schools, and why do you see that as its greatest challenge? As a board member, how will you help to meet this challenge? Candidate Byrd, if you would begin, you have 1 minute.
As I mentioned in the very beginning, we have to take an approach of our kids first. The Florida Constitution, it states that it should be paramount and fundamental that we educate all kids. We must be equitable in that education, and therefore, one of the main things I look at is let's address the different equity gaps. You know, there are certain circumstances, whether it be race, ethnicity, zip code, and socioeconomic things that kind of have a lot to do with a lot of the kids and how well they do in school. So if we can find a way whereby we can solve a lot of those issues and provide some adequate pre-K funding to address a lot of those issues early on, we'll be in better shape as those kids go through our school system. But I would like to look at really addressing that, and I've not really heard much of that in the different discussions as far as that goes. But being a representative of District 2, we have to address the issues of why, there's so much of an equity gap within the school system among our kids.
Thank you very much, candidate Byrd. Candidate Spray, if you would answer the question.
What I believe is the biggest challenge that we have in the school, I say many times, education starts in the home. In a lot of our homes, that's not an option. We have to find programs that we can get into the homes before the child gets into school. Elementary schools are the foundation of what a student's going to achieve through middle school and high school. Looking at some of the elementary reading and math proficiency levels, there are very few that are above, especially District 2. I couldn't find any that were hardly above 50% in the elementary level. And I did a generic look, some people will quote me specifically. Samoset has a 54% in math, but a 34% in reading. That was one of the lowest ones one of the higher ones that I saw in District 2. District 2 is very unique. You have a lot of people that are working, and I think that's the area we need to focus on is elementary. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Agruso, your answer, please.
Okay, our greatest challenge, of course, is that all of our children are not able to be successful in our school system. We have some excellent schools. We have students who soar and do very, very well. But we must focus on those students who are not achieving and work with everyone in our community to make sure they get excellent programs. And we have to start before school. We need to work with social services and the health community to help our parents understand how they can begin to build those literacy skills before children get to school. We need really top-notch pre-K experiences for all of our kids so they're ready for kindergarten. And we need to ensure that all of our schools have high-quality teachers who are well-prepared, who understand how to deal with the many different kind of children that are coming into our schools so that we can put the intense focus on them, get their literacy skills up so they'll be better able to work in other subject areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question, effective communication with parents and the community is essential. What will you as a school board member do to ensure that the work of the school board is easily accessible and transparent? And I would ask candidate Spray to answer the question first.
What I think is school members need to be approachable. And that's what I intend to be. I want to be approachable. I want to be able to go into the schools, be able to talk to the staff and ask what their concerns are. I want to be able to see what challenges they have at every school that's in District 2 starting out, because I think District 2 is one of the most challenging districts that we have. It's been underserved, underrepresented, in my opinion. And you got to start with your own district and branch out. The other districts, from what I've seen, you know, they is what brings up the entire district scores. But District 2 has some unique challenges, and I want to be able to go into those schools and talk to teachers, custodians, bus drivers, and see what their issues are, so I can address that with administration.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso.
School board needs to listen to what people are saying to them. At school board meetings, they have to be respectful of public comment. They have to invite people to talk with them. And they have to understand that parents have concerns that have to be addressed, and they must be responsive to those. One of the strengths that I bring to this work is I know the jargon and I can cut right through it, get things talked about in plain language so everybody is able to communicate with each other. I listen to everyone, and my goal is to find common ground. So we have to get rid of the words that are distracting us and really focus so we are talking with each other and listening to what the other person is saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lynn, could I ask you to read one of the questions from chat?
I haven't gone yet.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Candidate Byrd.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, in answering the question, I think the main thing is we have to take the approach of reaching out. We have to have outreach into the communities. This is especially important within District 2. We've talked about, how diverse the school system is, the district, and so forth. But you look at District 2. And the candidates, I greet you too. It's first time meeting both of you. But you're aware. I mean, let's be honest. You have an urban core. This is one of the poorest areas. You have areas along Manatee River, some more affluent communities, and going all the way to Robonia, Samus, and some other areas. Having the ability to reach out and to have an outreach program that will reach the parents and have some type of support mechanism whereby the educators, support staff, and all of them will come to one accord on what's best for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now ask Mary Lynn to ask one of the questions from chat, please.
Well, that little bit of heads up. helped me to see that we have three questions that are very similar, so I'm going to attempt to merge them. Part of that is that 2 of the D schools are in District 2, and District 2 reading scores are pretty low. And we also know that 3rd grade reading proficiency rates of African American students in Manatee County is only 26%. Given that, and without it being a political answer, how would you address the learning needs of this subgroup to improve their academic outcomes?
And I would ask candidate Agruso to go first, please.
I'm glad someone's breaking down that data because our school district has not provided that kind of information to us. And it's critical for us to know exactly where the challenges are and to be able to focus on groups of students so that we can make sure they are all successful. We clearly need to have an intense focus on reading in our elementary schools, and the schools in District 2 especially need to have additional supports where we can offer smaller classrooms, more intense instruction, one-on-one tutoring, after school and summer school programs. And I would like to look at us pursue perhaps a stronger school year. We need to reach out to those parents, get them involved. It's important that all of our kids are coming to school every single day and that our teachers have help in their classrooms to meet their individual needs. We know we can do this, but reading has to be across the board. It must be with writing and language must be done in every single subject at every single grade so that they get this intense focus on literacy skills.
Thank you. Candidate Byrd.
Yes, I think the first focus should be, it's one of the things I realized is that this didn't just start on yesterday. You have to start at the pre-K level. I was fortunate, the very first Head Start class in Manatee County, I was a part of that. And I know it helped me throughout my education and later on in life. It gave me that head start. So better and adequate pre-K funding. Also, we have to look at some of the different households and looking at stronger. And I understand a lot of times we talk about the different mentoring programs. Let's have stronger, mentoring programs. And also, one of the things that I think of is the situations with a lot of the kids. There are other needs that they may have. And we look at social services, child development, civic engagement, and a lot of those different things. But all in all, we have to focus on the kids first, and try to move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Spray.
Okay. Reading. We can read, and read. It's a matter of the comprehension that the kids understand what the words mean. I was involved in the literacy program where I'm from, and reading to a child and getting them excited about the story is one thing. But if they don't know the meaning of a word, that's where I think we fail. Phonics is a strong program. I'm sure we have those programs, but having the definition behind that word, I think is key. That's what I found when I read to students, and I'm talking kindergarten, first, second, third grade, as well as teaching Hispanics to speak English. They did not know the definition of the word. They could see the word, but they did not know what the definition of that word or comprehend what that word meant in a sentence. So I think we need to go a little farther on that.
Thank you. The next question I have to ask is actually, what are your intentions or reasons for running for the school board? Candidate Byrd, if you would go first.
Well, I think first and foremost, public service has always been a part of my life, my family's life. My dad, he was a former pastor here within District 2. My mother, Ruby Byrd, she was former District 2 representative on the school board. and they instilled in me public service as being very important. And we've moved in that direction. And one of the things is that I came through the system. I received my education, and later on, in representing in an elected capacity with the city of Bradenton, I decided that we were going to step back, and all of a sudden, like I say, for the first time, this is a district that needed someone, and I was asked to do that. I think that my skill set with education, experience, as well as community and public service will be something that will be beneficial to the kids of this community, and also that accountability to the taxpayers of this county. And therefore, I'm a candidate.
Thank you. Candidate Spray.
I got into this race because I believe the partnership between parents, teachers, and administration has been severed over the years. We have a lot of experience on the board now from different backgrounds. What I want to bring to the table is from a taxpayer's perspective. Once the millage came about is when I started noticing the spending, and sometimes actually even before the millage, it was back when they were going into the ERP system. I saw how much money was being spent on that program and how ineffective the rollout of that program was, and the massive amount of dollars we spent on that program. I dealt with funding from other sources. I saw how the spending was going on within the district, and that caused great concern. And I thought that the taxpayers needed to be represented.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso.
I've decided to run for the board because I think I can be a great resource for our school board and a great help to this community for making our schools better. My experience helps me explain to other people what needs to be going on. I go to school board meetings and I watch and I listen. And there are times when I want to say to them, please ask this question, because I've worked in this area. I have the background. I know when we're not getting sufficient information, when a different explanation would help people understand the program they are about to fund. I know what questions to ask because I've asked them and I've had them asked of me in the past. I've also had the great opportunity to work in school districts that very much reflected Manatee County, like Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. It's just 3 times the size. And had schools like we do, successful ones, but very poor schools and schools that are struggling. And I have that experience to understand what kind of support they need so that they can also excel. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lynn, would you ask one of the questions from chat, please?
Gladly. Manatee School District is one of a few districts in the state of Florida that still bus minority students out of their home neighborhoods. A second question, very much like it. Is it fair for high school students in District 2, East Bradenton, to be bused out to schools as far as Lakewood? So the question to the candidates, what is your take on busing? And what would you say to parents that are concerned?
And I would say candidate Agruso, if you would answer first.
It is unfortunate that we do not have more secondary schools in our district here, and that our children are bused into other places. And this is a long-term process that we are going to have to start now. We have to make sure that every single one of our schools has strong programs, that they are available to all of our students, and that our parents want to send their children to our local schools. That's first. Our children should be able to walk to their nearest elementary school. And I think we have to begin that process of making sure that we have built a reputation around those schools where our parents trust them, believe they will get an excellent education, and will stay there. we have to offer more excellent programs so kids do not have to go outside the district. And I think we have to look at our rezoning of our schools so that our children don't have to travel so far to get the programs that they want. I very much support choice, but I also want our parents to have a choice to stay local. And I think we have a lot of work to do in that area.
Thank you. Candidate Byrd?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. Being, I guess, growing up in a system here locally where busing is sort of a commonplace from the beginnings of integration up until now, and even now, we're looking at a situation where a lot of the growth is outside the urban core. And the reality is that there is a lot of the kids from within East Bradenton and other areas that are being bused into those different areas, such as the new schools that are built out in Parish. And I remember Lakewood Ranch and the Braden River High and all those different situations. But I think the main thing that we could try to look at is to try to have something established. And a lot of times we make promises, but what are we going to advocate? And I will advocate some way trying to do some school of excellence where that choice would be within District 2. Build it upon the LMA, Lincoln Memorial Academy model, which was successful. Try to have those options available in the district. Thank you.
Candidate Spray?
I think busing students out of their neighborhoods to schools because of backgrounds is totally wrong. I know from my point of view, if I was bused out of a district that I grew up in and I was sent out to Lakewood Ranch later in my high school years, I would lose that relationship that I had built with my peers in the district that I went to. I know from friends, many friends that I have that grew up in one school system from kindergarten to high school. They graduated with their peers from kindergarten. I think that's a great quality that they carry with them. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. And if we're busing our students out and taking that away from them, I think we're losing the value of that. If parents are busing their students out of the district because of grades, I would totally support that.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What would you do as a school board member to address the need to attract and retain employees, especially teachers? Candidate Byrd?
Okay, first of all, we have to look at the teachers. One of the things I didn't mention early on is when I looked at analysis of myself, I took on a long-term substitute teaching role. I specifically chose alternative school within District 2. Talk to the teachers, talk to the support staff. We have to support those teachers, let them teach. They need to teach, have other services for the students that do attend that can allow the teachers to teach. Let's look at competitive pay, housing situations where affordable or attainable houses are available. The taxation, the taxes within the area, they need to be affordable for teachers and other public service and support workers to live in the area. And lastly, grow your own. And this is something personal. We got to think outside the box. We can start early. Let's try to educate some educators, some students within our system, and they will go on and try to become educators within our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Spray?
Attracting teachers to our area, it's a competitive market. I believe that the teachers, the field of education, like many other public service arenas, such as nurses and things like that, have been such a challenge lately, and especially in the teaching field. There's a lot of behavioral issues with students. There's a lot of demands on the teachers from the states. There's just a whole plethora of things. My daughter is a teacher, so I hear some of the things that she has to deal with on a daily basis. I serve on the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, and part of the millage was teacher retention. It's been a challenge to keep teachers, even with the millage and with the governor's increase for teachers. And I don't know why that is. I do know that a lot of it comes from just demand. It's just, there's a very little pool to pull from when
Thank
you're
you.
trying to hire. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso.
First of all, we have to offer our teachers financial stability. We have a competitive salary, but a portion of that is tied to a referendum. And we need to do everything we can on this board to get the money for teachers' salary out of a referendum and into our regular annual budget so that they're not worried about a budget vote determining how much they're going to be paid. That's the first. Secondly, we have an affordability issue in Manatee County, and our school board needs to advocate for more affordable housing, especially closer to District 2, so that our teachers do not have to travel for 2 hours to get to school every day. And if we can start doing that and building a community where people live and work and go to dinner and have a social life, I think that would really benefit schools in District 2. And third, we have to focus on the climate in our schools. We must value our teachers and our staff because they're highly trained. They know their jobs. They need our support. And I think that's something we must focus on in every single one of our schools, making sure they understand that we appreciate them and we want them to stay with us.
Thank you. Mary Lynn, could you ask a question from chat?
Sure, thank you. Lincoln Memorial Academy was a charter school, and the charter was taken away under controversial circumstances. The issues have not been resolved according to all of the parties of interest. What are your thoughts?
And candidate Spray, if you would go first.
I think the biggest loser with LMA are the students. They had the badge of a charter school taken from them. I think there were some things going on both sides of that. I've only, from the teachers that I've talked to, from the students that I've talked to in that region, they're on both sides of this. I just feel bad that the badge of charter school was taken from the students. That's a badge of honor to me, and I can't comment anymore on that because I know there's legalities going on with that, and I'll just leave it at that. I feel bad for the students.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso.
There is no doubt that the closing of Lincoln Memorial was handled poorly by the school system. There were issues there that had to be addressed. There's no doubt about that. They should have been discussed earlier. The board should have been involved in those discussions publicly. The school district should have taken steps to help the group that was running that school correct the problems. And even when it got to the point where there were serious issues that needed to be addressed with individuals, our school system should have worked much, much harder to try and find a resolution where they could keep that school open for those students. It was a great idea, and it's just unfortunate that these circumstances were not handled better at the time so that the school could remain open today. I think it's something we need to revisit in District 2 about how we can rebuild the school for our students and also look at other charter opportunities for this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Byrd.
Yes, interesting question, and I'm glad it came up at today's debate. It's sort of a, I guess, very important thing as far as my life. My family, myself, we would not even be here. My father, he moved the family here after receiving a agricultural teaching job at Lincoln High School years ago. So we've always been a supporter of Lincoln Memorial, even Lincoln Memorial Academy. It was handled poorly, but a lot of times what we have to do is look at situations and see how can we right a wrong. I'm in favor of reestablishing and taking that model that they had and reestablishing LMA, as I call it, as a school in District 2 that will be similar to what it was. The numbers are down now. It's not the same. And so I would be very much of an advocate in establishing that for the future if elected as your school board rep. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is, in 2019, SB 7030 passed, which gives school districts the option to arm teachers as well as security guards. Teachers are now allowed to carry guns via the Guardian program. Do you feel Manatee teachers should participate in this program and be armed at school? Candidate Agruso?
Absolutely not. I was a teacher in a classroom, and trying to keep a weapon secure when your attention is focused on those students in front of you is nearly impossible. If it's on your person, they will know. If you keep it nearby where it's accessible, they will know. And my fear is that in trying to do something we think will secure our classrooms, we're going to make them more dangerous because children will get access to that gun. And if you put it in a lockbox so they can't have access, it does you no good if there's a problem in a school. And we also know from the horrific shootings that we have had in our schools that our teachers must lock down immediately. They can't be, that's not their job to go out into the hall and try to approach a gunman and stop them. They have to be there with their students. They have to lock down. They have to keep them as safe as they possibly can. Absolutely, no guns in our classrooms.
Candidate Byrd?
Absolutely not. As stated earlier, I spent last half of the school year in a long-term substitute teaching position, and there were lockdowns, and there were cases where there were, instances where they were. You had a certain responsibility for the kids, and you had to rely on the security that was provided there at the school to handle the safety. I think that I just don't believe the more guns that you throw into an education environment is going to do anything better as far as the security of the kids. Proper training, proper procedural methods, a lot of other things can be done other than arming all our teachers in the classroom. I'm not in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Spray?
I've talked to members of the board about this very issue. From what I understand, the security at our Manatee County schools are pretty tight. We have hardened our schools amid the Parkland shooting in Southern Florida. However, I have seen that processes that failed that resulted in Uvalde. So if there was a program that had rigorous training, and that the anonymity of whomever had a weapon to help secure our students. I mean, all of us say this, that Uvalde was a very small town. No one ever thought anything would ever happen there. You can't stop people from hating. You can't stop people from being evil. But what we can do is try to avert that. A simple sign on a fence saying we protect our children probably would be enough.
Thank you. Mary Lynn, a question from chat.
Yes. District 2's Manatee Elementary School is our district's first and only community partnership school using the model developed by the University of Central Florida. This provides wraparound services of health, dental, and mental health services, plus food banks. The question to you is, what value do you see this having for the District 2 school? And would you advocate for this to become prevalent in more schools?
Candidate Byrd.
Oh, great, great. It's a former school of mine, so I can speak to that. Excellent concept. We talked earlier about looking at that, your total community. And when you look at the model and that approach, they're taking into consideration not just that student or not just that school, but they're involving the whole community. It addresses schools and the communities. Public and private dollars are involved. You have healthcare. You're talking, university involvement, and it's just a wonderful model. And within District 2, if we were to move in the direction, in whatever direction, as far as improvements or reestablishing LMA, I think that would be a model that would be very much needed within District 2 and for the kids and the parents and the residents of the area. But excellent model.
Candidate Spray.
I guess I have a hard time with that concept only because of this. If we have reading down to 27% at LMA and 23% at ONICO, Sam was at 34. What our education system is that educating. We need to get back to the basics of education and provide resources to the families in a community setting. I don't think that should be through the school setting. We used to just have to be able to get just an aspirin at school. And now we're providing so much more. I think it's putting so much pressure on, and I think it's taken away from the basics of education on reading, writing, and math. I just believe that we're leaning away from what the education system should be doing by focusing on the physical and dental and all of the other things that kids need.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso.
This is a perfect example of a school system community partnership where everyone is working together to improve the Manatee schools. We know that there is so much more to why children aren't learning well than just teaching them reading. They need to be healthy. They need to have the supports that so many of us can take for granted. By having these services there, our children are getting the wraparound services they need that will enable them to learn better. And I support the model, and I do hope we expand it throughout District 2 and in other parts of our community so that we really can ensure that our kids are getting everything they need to grow up healthy, to be mentally and emotionally secure, and able to learn at high levels. And this is just one of the great ways of achieving that goal. Thank you.
Mary Lynn, another question from chat, please.
Well, we're just about to, let's see, this is a question for all of them. Have any of you spent any time in District 2 schools? And if so, which ones and in what capacity?
Candidate Spray.
I have been by, not inside. My focus has been looking at test scores, math, and how many students. I've tried to find the turnover rate of every school, and that's a little difficult to find. Talking one-to-one with the people in the school. I got in this race a little late, so I was, the schools are out basically, but there is staff there. That is my goal as a board member. While the students are there, be visible, go talk to all of the teachers while they're in class. That's the goal. I've been asked this question many times. No, I have not had the luxury to go in and talk to the students or the teachers or the staff one-on-one. But I have talked to many, many of those who have retired from the district within District 2, in Oneiko, Samoset, and even the Palmetto areas.
Thank you. Candidate Agruso?
Yes. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we were not able to access them as early as I would have wanted. But I've had the pleasure of attending SAC meetings. Those are school advisory council meetings with parents, teachers, and administrators. At Manatee Elementary, I've been to Lincoln Memorial. I've been to Southeast, all of those where I was at their SAC meeting. I've also been in those schools for other events that were taking place. I was at Ballard. I've been to Palmetto. I've met with the parents there, specifically focused on the construction that's starting soon. And while Palmetto is not specifically located in District 2, so many of our high school students do attend there. So it's important for us to know what's happening there. So I've had the pleasure of being in schools, and as you can tell, it is one of my passions in life to see children and to talk with their parents and their teachers. And I am looking forward to the opportunity to continue doing this in the months and years ahead. Thank you so much.
Candidate Byrd?
Yes, this started years ago. I guess as a elected official, I've probably been to most of the schools within District 2. I'm hoping that, and even others outside from the Bayshore High School, Southeast High School, advisory at Hale for a period of time, and also, looking at Manatee Elementary, Rogers for different programs. So I've been over the years, several different ones. I think my biggest thing was I had a choice with the education and everything as a substitute teacher. I could have gone to any of the schools. I chose Horizon Academies within District 2, and it was very, very enriching, eye-opening, and it's one of the things that I'll never forget in life, whether I'm successful with this run for school board or not. I've told all the support staff and everybody involved that I will always remember this, and it's eye-opening, whether I'm a community leader or elected official. But yes, I have.
Thank you. We have time for one last question. How would you describe what success looks like for a school district? And I would ask candidate Agruso to go first.
We will know we are successful when every single one of our students is reading on grade level. All of our students are graduating. And when you ask our students about their experiences in school, they will tell you they love it. Our parents will be comfortable. They will know that they are welcome, and they will know that they can trust our schools to do right by their children. And our community will start to celebrate all of our schools for its excellence. We need to change the climate around Manatee and start cheering for our teachers and our students, applauding their accomplishments and working really hard so we make the great progress we need so we can all be proud of every single school in our district. There's a lot of good out there right now, and we can make it better. And we'll see those changes in the next few years. I have no doubt about that.
Thank you. Candidate Byrd.
Wow, better is possible. We'll start with that. I think, there are a lot of things, and I will start out by, I guess, making mention of kids first. We have to consider the kids. We look at equitable education for all the kids. We talked earlier about Article 9, Constitution, talking about that responsibility as far as educating all of the kids. I think next we have to show some taxpayer accountability so that when we go to the taxpayers, say we need more dollars to educate our kids, we're able to do so in a manner that the kids will also reap the benefit and have a better education here in Manatee County. Transparency. And once again, we have to assess, deal with the equity gap. It's there, it's prevalent, and we have to address that. And if we can do that, that would be a success and well-rounded education. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Spray.
You can measure success of a school district in many different ways. How we spend our money, are we getting what we paid for, teacher retention, and of course the student success. But one big shadow can make the whole district look bad. That's what we got to overcome, is the dark clouds, to make our district look better than what it does right now. We've gone over a lot of the different rates of reading and math. That does not reflect well. And it's the optics of the taxpayers. If the taxpayers look, that's where our funding comes from. You know, we want to focus a lot on the students, and the student success is our greatest achievement. But we also have to look at where the money is being spent. And the graduation rate, that can be a measurable success rate. But if the optics is bad, then, you know, that's not a very good picture in my view.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County, I want to thank each of the three candidates for participating in this forum. I also want to thank all of you who have joined us and attended this informative forum. Later today at 5:30, we will have the candidate forum for School Board District 4. I invite everyone to join that forum as well. Also, we have what we call our Taste of the League program. It's on Zoom. It will be Thursday, July 14th at 5:30. You can register via our website to learn more about the League. Felicia Jett, our Voter Services of Florida co-chair, will be discussing many aspects of Florida Voter Services Action Team and how they help all of us to be informed voters. So I will remind you of that Taste of the League. I will remind you of Vote 411 for additional information on candidates. And I encourage everyone to please vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to Mary.